In all my years as a believer, since the day I officially accepted Christ on up to this season of my life, every major turning point in my life has been an exposure of how terrible of a person I am. I've come to a place in my Christian belief where I have learned that if you are doing this walk the right way, you never reach a point where you feel like you are better than you ever have been. If a Christian is truly walking with the Lord and growing and doing it right, they never reach a point where they say, I'm better than I was 5 years ago. But they reach a point where they say, I realize how much worse of a person I am than I did 5 years ago. Because when you read the letters that Paul wrote, you'll even find there that one of his earliest letters, he wrote, I'm the least of the apostles. But by his final letter, he said, I am the greatest of all sinners. The longer Paul walked with God, the more he realized how terrible his sin was, how horrible of a sinner he was. And I think back to 10 years ago when I was on fire for the Lord, reading my Bible daily, relishing the Word. I thought I knew everything, or at least I wanted to know everything. I acted as if I had all the answers. I acted as if no one could possibly know the answers as good as me. I would think up in my mind counter arguments that I could make to secularists to combat their reasons for not wanting to come to Jesus, and there's no way they could possibly come up with something as intellectual as this, because God has chosen me to be the one who can convert people. And I look back and I think about all the discussions and all the debates that I came out of thinking I came out on top. They weren't able to answer that statement I made. They weren't able to combat or come back and have an answer for what I made them think about. And I begin to realize that they probably didn't combat it or didn't come out with the ability to discuss a better point with me, because I was obnoxious and overpowering and not a very good listener, but a very good talker, and a man whose opinions burned people. And as I walk with God more, it's becoming more real to me that being a Christian a long time and reading your word longer than other people or more than other people, and coming up with the best answers and the best arguments and having all the commentaries and all the resources doesn't make me any better of a person or any more capable than people who are just starting out. Because I've met people who have walked with God less than I have, and they seem to do it much better and much more humble than I do. But I've reached a low point in my life where so much has been made real to me. And I've reached a point in my life where I can identify with people who don't want to go to church. Years ago, I was the person who wanted to go out and tell people, this is why you should be in church. This is why you should be a Christian. This is why you should do this. And I was ready to tell people what was wrong with them because I knew exactly what the error in their logic is and what must be the answer and the solution to their problem. And I look back and I thought at the time, oh, it's only a matter of time before they think to themselves, oh, that thing that Andrew said really impacted me. And I look back now and I think to myself, that probably really burned them. And it does matter how we treat each other. And it does matter what choice of words we use, even in the church. Because I've reached a low point in my life where I honestly don't even want to enter a church building. And I don't even want to have fellowship because it's hard to do so. And people might get mad at me for saying that, but look, people have struggles. Don't take it personal that I say this. I have reached a point in my life where, as I work with people who don't want to believe, and I work with people who don't even want to talk about Jesus, I've reached a point in my life where I can sympathize with them better than I could 10 years ago when I was the person telling them the way they should be thinking. And I'm not ashamed to be honest and admit this because church hurts sometimes. The idea of coming into a fellowship of imperfect people sometimes hurts to think about. And I don't have any expectations for any believer, but I'm going to be real with you. There is no such thing as a perfect Christian. The longer you walk with God doesn't mean the better of a person you'll be. Sometimes the longer you walk with God, the more your sin will become real to you, and it better become real to you. And if you think you're a better person because you've walked with God longest or longer, if you think that, you're probably in a worse position than a man who thinks less of himself because he's walked with God more. That really needs to be the result of this thing we call Christianity. Because whenever we get into this mindset that we are something great because we've done this a long time, we share opinions, we talk to people rudely, we compare ourselves, and when we compare ourselves, we burn people enough to where they don't want to do this with us. They don't want to have anything to do with this faith. And I've come to realize that in my life. That grace is more important than telling people what problems I have with them. Grace is more important than what opinions or what accusations I feel like I have to throw. And the minute I feel the need to rate myself against people at the expense of making them feel less significant than me, saying, I've done this longer, I'm older than you, I'm wiser than you, I'm more experienced than you, I've got more commentaries than you, I've read the Bible longer than you, I've gone evangelizing longer than you, I know more about this subject than you, I'm a better person than you, I'm more mature than you. the more people feel less significant than me. The more I say those things, the more insignificant people feel because of me. And the less they will want to receive from what God has called me to give them. In that case, I'm not edifying the body. I'm building myself up at the expense of tearing other people down. And it does harm to them. I've walked with God for about 10 years now. I've had the label of Christianity my entire life, but I've walked with God for 10 years of my life. And more than ever, my sin is real to me. I am no better than I was 10 years ago. In fact, I'm so much worse. And I think as time goes on, I'm going to keep getting worse. Because my sin is going to become more real to me as time goes on. In the years of your walk, you have carried the word by your side. You have grown, you can talk and convict with the words you recite. You can fathom many mysteries and answer the confused. You're a guide to the blind and a light they can find as a steward who holds the truth. In the years of your walk, you have burdened your brothers in Christ. All your words, they are sharp, so that no one can contest your might. You're efficient at flaunting your righteousness and quick to condemn the weak. You acknowledge His grace and give Him all your praise, yet you act like you've always been clean. If we are His people and He is our God, then why do we act like He's just a facade? If we are His bride and He is our love, then why does it seem like He's never enough? In the years of your walk, you have gained the favor of men. You have climbed up the ranks to be noticed and thanked for the service they're bound to commend. You have all the trophies they claim you deserve, yet your heart is corrupt and opinions do harm to the people you're called to serve. If we are His children and He is our life, then why are we dead when He calls us to rise? If Christ is our hope and we are the scum, then why do we boast in the works we have done? To the church there is death if we fail to conquer this pride. We dispute, we contest, and contribute to killing the bride. We dispute our opinions on what we read, but fail to use it in love. We may think we are great, but our fuel to this hate will never appease the judge. If we are his passion and he is our king, then why do we act like he's less than we need? If he is our shepherd and we are his sheep, then why have the wolves come in to wallow and feast? If we are his people and he is our God, then why do we act like he's just a facade? If we are his bride and he is our love, then why does it seem like he's never enough? He's just a facade. Your faith is a fraud. He's less than your God.